The Mughal camp looked like a moving city. Thousands of tents, fires everywhere, soldiers in rows, horses, elephants, cannons, everything loud, heavy, sure of victory. This was the Mughal Empire. When it marched, kingdoms shook. But in the Deccan, the Mughals kept running out of food. Their supply carts vanished. Their wells were ruined. Their roads turned into traps. One day, the army had full stomachs. A week later, men were weak, angry, and afraid. The generals blamed bandits. They blamed the heat, they blamed the rain. But Emperor Jahangir blamed one man. A man who should never have been here. A man who started his life with nothing. His name was Malik Ambar. And this is how an enslaved boy became the mind that stopped an empire. Long before India, long before courts and armies, there was a boy in the Ethiopian highlands. Some people remember his first name as Chapu. He was born around 1548. His family was poor. Life was simple but hard. The land was beautiful, but it demanded strength. Chapu ran barefoot on stone paths. He knew where water hid after rain. He knew which hills gave the best view. He knew how to listen. Then one day, everything changed. We don't know the exact reason. It could have been war. It could have been hunger. It could have been death. It could have been a raid. But what we know happened next. Men came, chains came, and the boy was taken. He was dragged to markets near the coast. People looked at him like he was not human, like he was a tool. He was sold, then sold again, then again. Each sale was like losing something inside, a piece of safety, a piece of childhood. And then came the next theft, his name. He was renamed Ambar. He was converted to Islam and he was placed on a ship. The ocean was wide, the air was salty, the ship was crowded and cruel. At night, Ambar stayed into the dark water. He did not cry out, he did not beg. But inside, something was happening. A quiet thought, a dangerous thought. If the world can do this to me, then I must learn how the world works. That thought was the seed of everything. In 1575, Ambar reached India. India was loud, hot, full of life, full of power. He came with a trader named Mir Qasim. Ambar was still a slave, but fate has a strange habit. In the Deccan state of Ahmadnagar, a powerful man noticed him. His name was Chinggis Khan, and he was also Ethiopian. Chinggis Khan looked at Ambar and did not see a slave. He saw eyes that never stopped watching. He spoke softly, short, sharp. You, he said, come. Ambar followed, and in that moment his life turned, not into safety but into possibility. Chinggis Khan treated Ambar differently. He taught him. He showed him how courts work, how deals were made, how men lied with smiles, how power moved like water, always searching for the easiest path. Ambar learned numbers, taxes, land, soldiers. He learned that armies are not made of swords. They are made of food. He learned that the strongest army can still die if it cannot eat. And the whole time he watched. He watched leaders. He watched gods. He watched rich men pretend they were brave. He learned what fear smelled like. He learned what greed sounded like. Most of all, he learned patience. Because a slave learns patience or breaks. Then the unexpected happened. Chinggis Khan died. For Ambar, it was a cliff edge. This man had been his teacher, his shield, his door into a new world. Now that door was closing. Amber was freed, but freedom was not comfort. Freedom was empty hands. Freedom was danger. That night, Amber sat alone. His mind was full of old fear. What am I now? He breathed in, slow, and a new thought rose inside him. I will never be owned again. He stood up and he began. Amber gathered other Africans, men like him, outsiders with strong backs and sharp memories. He gathered Arabs, fighters, veterans, men who had nothing to lose. They became a small mercenary group. At first, they were just a few. Then they won fights. Then more men joined. And soon, people started saying his name with respect. Not because he was rich, not because he was born noble, because he was calm, because he was smart. Because when trouble came, he did not panic. Amber built an army, and the world began to move around him. By the early 1600s, the Mughal Empire pushed into the Deccan. The Mughals were huge. Their armies were like moving walls, and Ahmadnagar was in danger. Inside Ahmadnagar, the rulers were weak. The court was unstable. This is where Malik Ambar rose high. He became regent, meaning the king was there but Ambar held the real power. Some said he was a kingmaker because he could place a young prince on the throne and guide the kingdom through war. And war was coming. The Mughals arrived like thunder. Cannons, cavalry, thousands and thousands of soldiers. A Mughal commander laughed. We will crush them, he said, by weight. But Malik Ambar did not laugh. He looked at the Mughal army and saw one thing, a long throat. And a long throat needs food every day. Ambar turned to his men. Short, sharp. Do not fight their body, he said. Cut their stomach. His officers listened. The Maratha riders were ready. Fast horsemen who knew the hills and dry valleys like their own hands. Ambar gave them a new kind of war. Not glory, control. At night, the Maratha riders moved. They did not march, they flowed. They hit supply lines, they burned grain, they stole horses, they vanished into darkness. Sometimes the Mughals chased them and found nothing. Sometimes the Mughals guarded the roads, and the raiders came from a different road. The Mughal army began to feel trapped in open land. Days passed, food became less, anger became more. Then fear. A Mughal soldier whispered to another, "Where is the caravan?" No answer came. Horses grew thin, men grew sick. In the Deccan, the land does not forgive big armies. And Malik Ambar used the land like a weapon. One morning, a Mughal commander slammed his fist on the table. "Find Ambar," he shouted. "Bring me his head." But Malik Ambar was not sitting behind walls. He was moving. He was watching. He was deciding. A scout rode into Ambar's camp. "They are searching the hills," the scout said. "They think you are hiding." Ambar's face stayed calm. "Short, sharp, good," he said. "Let them get tired." Then he looked out at the land. Rock, dust, heat, and his thoughts were clear. They brought an empire to fight a ghost, so I will be a ghost. When the monsoon came, the Deccan changed. Roads became mud, heavy cannons sank, camps became swamps. Disease spread. Mughal soldiers woke up coughing, feverish, and hungry. Their world felt crushed. But Amber's riders still moved. They knew where to step, where to hide, where to strike. Again and again, they hit supply lines. Again and again, they disappeared. The Mughals won battles sometime, but the war did not end. Because Malik Ambar was not playing their game. He was starving the game itself. News reached Emperor Jahangir, and the emperor hated it. He hated that one man could delay him. He hated that his great army could be made helpless. In court, Jahangir raged. That Ambar, he snapped. He fights like smoke. And that was the truth. You cannot stab smoke. You cannot arrest a shadow. You cannot conquer a land if your army cannot eat. For years, Malik Ambar held the line. Not with crown, not with magic, with planning, with speed, with patience. But Malik Ambar was not only a man of war. This is where the story turns again. Because he did something unexpected. While fighting the Mughals, he built. Around 1619, he founded a city called Khatki. He built palaces and strong buildings. He improved irrigation. He brought water to places that needed it. He supported craftsmen, Hindu and Muslim, stone workers, painters, metal workers. In a time when many leaders only burned, Ambar created. One day, he stood near a water channel and watched it flow. His face did not show much, but inside a deep emotion rose, because water meant life, and he had once been treated like he did not deserve life. He spoke softly, short, sharp. "I was traded," he said. "This cannot be traded. The world is messy." But his spirit remained undefeated. He began life as a boy stolen from his home, a boy renamed, a boy owned. And yet, he became the man who stood between an empire and its prize. He became the regent, the kingmaker, the strategist. A man the Mughal emperor could not ignore. And his real message is simple. Your beginning is not your fate. Chains are not a prophecy. A mind that learns, a heart that refuses to break, and a will that keeps moving can bend history. Because Malik Ambar did not inherit power. He built it, and he made the mighty tremble at a name.